My name is Brian Bonacy. My background is in HR. I've worked in many different industries, including not-for-profits. So this event right here is an informal event. We're looking to just discuss low cost of free online tools that is available to nonprofits today. I'm going to talk about the ones that I love, the ones that I use on my computer day to day. I'm going to start first just to break the ice. And the first tool I'm going to talk about is Amphetamine. So what is amphetamine? So amphetamine is, if you go to my doc, I'm on a Mac. So most of the tools I'm talking about are going to be for the Mac operating system. Some of them may be compatible with other operating systems, and some of them may not be. But again, this is why I want to hear from you all using different operating systems, different tools. Then I would love to hear it. So, all right, going back to amphetamine. What amphetamine is, and this is right here on the doc. I'm going to click it. Nothing pops up that you see, but it pops up on the menu bar. So what amphetamine does is it's great if you need to keep your computer on for longer durations of time. So if I click this, usually when you have a computer, you need it sitting out and you go get a cup of water, or maybe you want to go somewhere real quick. Usually the screensaver comes on and eventually the computer goes black and it goes into the power saving mode, right? So if your computer is plugged in, you may not need that, or maybe you're downloading something and you really want that download to finish without the computer like just going off with you. Or maybe you have a presentation like this one and you can't afford the computer to go onto screensaver mode. This is where amphetamine comes. And then pretty much you can set specific durations of how long you want the computer to stay on. And it will ignore all your computer settings in terms of the screensaver option, the power off option, and it will keep it on for that designated amount of time. You can keep it on for 5 minutes to as long as to even hours. You can keep it on to even a whole day if you want. And you can even get even real granular, and you can have it while a file is downloading. You can say, keep the computer on while a specific file is downloading to the computer. That way you don't have to worry about it turning off and the internet, when the computer turns off, you use the internet connection, you got to re-download it, especially for the big file download while an app is running as well. So if you have an app running and you want to make sure, as long as that app is running, I want my computer to stay on. This is a great app to make it happen. Again, very small app, sits in the menu bar. I clicked it, you didn't even notice it. And it's a little whimsy too. So I click on it, it makes it turn and let me know it's on. And you click right here and you can see it went to my default, which you can change in your preferences, but it might be for 25 minutes. And now it starts the countdown of 25 minutes where my computer will stay on. And I can right click it again and turn it off, or I can left click it to go into the options.
So first of all, let me show you something called, I'm using Cursor Pro. There's loads of things like this. You can, even if you go into your accessibility settings on your computer, you blow up the mouse size. But it's a nice thing, again, for doing demos like this, just to help people follow through so they don't lose their mouse in the low resolution screen share. So I'm not going to go too deep into Cursor Pro, just to say, if you do presentations from time to time, or if maybe you're working with someone who's had limited vision, an app like this can be very helpful because it also, of course, really helps people find and track through their own mouse as well. I am currently using something called PasteBot. There's a million things like this. On Windows, you don't even need a fancy application. This is actually built in. I don't remember the name of it, but basically it is the idea of having, when you go cut and paste, you keep one thing in the memory of the system. But through the magic of PasteBot or similar things like this, you can also bring up an alternative pasteboard that keeps basically your full history over like the last, say, 100 clips of everything you've cut and pasted. And so if you're like me and you're going between other windows and copying 3 things and pasting 3 other things and getting that email, instead of tabbing back and forth between 2 different applications, what you really just say is, oh, I just want to get these 5 pieces of text. And then so here is this thing. I'm like, oh, it's the pipe utility. Of course I wanted to get this thing in the list, the junk. So let me just really start working through this. It's also really cool because you can search. So you're like, oh, I know I cut and paste something yesterday, but what was the name? I think it was like PH in it. You can type and there it is. So it also gives you just like a little bit of a I know I cut and paste something a while ago, and you can actually search on it and then paste it in. If you're a little bit more programmery and fancy, you could even run filters through this. You could do something called sequential paste, where you can say, like, I'm going to paste 7 things and then basically cut 7 things and then paste all of them in order, boom, boom, without having to go back and forth. So you can get extra fancy, but even if you're unfancy, I find this to be so useful. It's up there with text expansion, which Brian will show later, in a thing which is, if you spend your life in front of a computer, these are just so indispensable, because all we do is move text around. And if we can make our lives slightly easier, it's the huge win. And as I say, this is built into Windows. Us or Macintosh people have to find third-party applications to basically build in a similar kind of functionality. But that is Pastebot.
So the next app on the list, this one I really love, is called Soulver.
I'm especially excited for this because I bought Soulver many years ago, but never really figured out how to use it in a real way. Bounced off it. So I'd love to see your use of it.
I particularly love Soulver. So Soulver's right here. I'm gonna open it. And with Soulver, to me, the way to define Soulver is, to me, the description is, it's Excel and a calculator app had a baby. So what Soulver is pretty much, it's like a mini calculator, but it's like that spot in between Excel and a calculator. I use it all the time for like quick calculations. 5 times 5, right? 25. I want to subtract it by 6. Put the answer always over here. I want to do, and it just takes regular. I want to take the tip of something. 25%, $100. They'll just figure it out right there, just from just natural language. 25% off 100, right? Natural language, it's just calculating it for you. So you don't have to think about it. I love it. I use it all the time for like simple calculations, again, from like a 5 times 5 to 25% off. There's so much more. The other thing is, if you really want to like get into the nitty gritty of it, you can. So let's say I'm doing 90 plus 80, right? And then over here, I'm doing like another calculation of 60 minus 744. And then I want to take those two. So now I can just say line, because this is line 6. I can say line 6. It automatically takes that line and gives me the value of it. Plus line 7, and it will add these two up. So you can do so many different things about it.
Oh, that's super cool. Because the way I'd seen it earlier is you put A equals and that formula, and then B equals 60 minus 44, and then you could use those as variables. But this, as you say, is even more natural languaging.
Exactly. And yes, you can, to your point, you can even get to that. If you want to get like even more advanced, you can make it into variables. Me personally, I use it more just for the natural language sense of it. It's a quick calculator I made to pull up when I need it. I don't even use the regular calculator app no more on my computer. This is what I use on this and on my phone, which is actually what I did want to show as well, because I think it's even just as good on the phone. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna actually share my life.
Oh, this is a whole other power trick, which is I have never actually done this before. So you can actually share your phone right into Zoom.
Yeah. On the main screen, there's I have on the, you can see it, Soulver. It's about the third row down, the yellow app with the app. So again, similar to the application. And by the way, all this can sync as well. So if you have something on the desktop app, you can pull it up on this as well, and vice versa. But again, natural language, 5 plus 5. I want to do that minus 4. So it already takes the line 1. I want to say line 1 by just clicking. You can't see where my fingers are moving, but by clicking the 10, it automatically puts line 1 plus line 2. Again, percentage. So I want to say 20. If I hold this down, it makes it easier. So 20% off of 500. And it just figures it out. Again, going back to the natural language aspect of it, there's multiple keywords. Again, if you want to get really fancy or really you want to do a conversion of US dollar to euros or any type of currency, you can go to the basic keyboard as well. But yeah, all in all, wanted to just quickly show you how great it is, not just on, but also on the phone. I love this app. I use it. It's a daily thing of mine that I use it. I'm constantly filling out whether I'm trying to figure out tip, I'm trying to do a quick calculation when I'm talking on the phone with someone. So yeah, I think it's a great app. I will be the app I showed you before were free. This app does cost a little bit of money. I bought this some time ago. It's not too much. I think it's under $10 with both the iOS and the Mac version. But yeah, I think it's a great app. It's a little under Excel, a little over the calculator. So yeah.
Yeah, some of us have apps where you're like, all right, I will pay for that one because for me, it's valuable enough. Got a question coming in actually from Rosalind. So you can store variables temporarily and then make equations, is that right?
Yeah. So I haven't used it for that part of it because like at that point, like I would just use Excel. But yeah, you can make it into store equations into it, similar to what Eli was doing before, and then like setting like A equals 5, and then B equals 6, and then A plus B, and then assigning variables to it. Yeah, you could totally do that. You can let me just share my screen again real quick. A lot of times what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure things out. So I'll name it. So I'm saying rent for May. And then I want to say rent for May. And then I want to say like rent for June. Also 25. I gotta put it in a new line. But again, you can like I use it, I name it and I'll put numbers next to it and then just like to come up with little calculations. But to your point, which that I actually haven't done before, but A equals 5. I actually haven't tried it yet. So I might hopefully this works. If you can make rent. I wonder if I can do it like this. This is something I'm actually trying now too. June, right? Say June, what did I say? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you can do tons of stuff with it. I think it's a great app. And yeah, I didn't even use it before signing into variables, but I will. I learned something well from bringing it up. So yeah, but yeah, that's Soulver. Again, I don't remember the cost at the time, but again, if you search for it, you can find it on both the platforms. They may not have a Windows version. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a great little app. I highly suggest it.
Right. Yeah. Looks like
Oh,
37
great. I didn't even
Canadian,
see
probably
it.
about 25 US. Yeah.
Oh, so there's a Windows alternative. Perfect. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm clicking with that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So it's a Windows alternative. Yeah. It's a really great little app. I can't say it enough. So anyway,
You inspired me to go in and start playing around with it a bit more because sometimes you don't need a full spreadsheet for some things. Plus, you can just like cut and paste the text in there. You just keep it a bit more free form. So this is a piece of software called Descript. And what Descript is a video editor. And you can see that right here is a piece of video. And you can sort of see along the bottom, here's the scrubby timeline. So for any of you who've ever played with a piece of software like video editor before, it's going to look pretty similar. But you're going to see something a little bit odd here. You'll see there's the words along the top here, along the timeline. And you'll see right here on the left side, here is the script of the document. And you're like, okay, how did this get here? So what I did is I took a video file and I uploaded it into the software. And then what it did immediately is fire it up into machine translation. So do the transcription. And this transcription is, let's be honest, not that great, but it's good enough because what it does is it takes away all the hard parts of doing the rough video editing. This isn't something you're going to create a movie with, but if you need to make an edit on a webinar, if you just want to make something like pull out a clip from a larger video, this gives you this really powerful tool because what you get to do is you just jump through the text by clicking on a word and it jumps to that part in the video. And that becomes really powerful because you can say, oh, actually this section here where we started the Q&A or where the speaker stumbled for wanting to say, I don't want that. So she's got this line here about a little bit more about me. I'm just going to highlight that. and click delete, and it disappears directly from the video. So this is a really powerful way for you to do some very quick and dirty things with the video. The other thing that's powerful about having a script is you can go here and say, I want to remove the filler words. And so it's got like this list of filler words. You can see here's all the uses of them. And you're like, oh, actually, I don't want to have any ums in my video. So what you do is you just go down to the bottom here, click and say, I would like to delete all of those. Apply to all. Boom. Every in the video has just been cut. So now you'll come through here and just say,
So welcome everybody. I am Sandra Amer and I'm your local TechSoup Connect host, which is a program of TechSoup. TechSoup Connect is the global.
so we're like, okay, that's great. I like that. But I'd say like, here's a section I don't want. So I'm just going to say,
And I also on the side do consulting for small businesses and nonprofits.
I want to get rid of, I didn't set up her just saying I want to do
I also on
consulting.
the side do consulting for small businesses and nonprofits.
You're like, what if I just want to get rid of the small business part? And so she just does consulting for nonprofits, because maybe that's the audience here. So I'm just going to cut that out of the text. And now let's start playing that.
I also on the side do consulting for nonprofits and as well as a whole bunch of training. I am also.
And then she also has a whole bunch of where she just trails off. I'm just going to cut that part too.
I do consulting for nonprofit. I am also currently the national.
And then you're currently, I'm like, oh, currently didn't add anything there. Delete. Word currently now gone from the video.
Also the national president for the one.
Then Nash, let's just get rid of, because you'll see she stumbled there. She said the Nash. So I'm just like, cut that out.
Profit. I am also the national president for the One Parent Families Association.
Lovely, really clean. So now you can go really deep and in depth with this by like cutting words, moving things around like you could, or you could just do wild edits. The other nice thing you can do is sometimes there's just like gaps in a webinar or something like that. And so what you can do is say, I want to just find anywhere where there's say like a 2-second gap. Oh, there's 2 of them here. Let's just find one. I'll just click it and it'll show me that little section.
The life has
So we're like, well, that
expanded
just was really helpful.
the charity.
So there wasn't really much there. So what we could just do is take those gaps and I'm just going to delete them. Boom. So you can pull out any kind of gaps or longer sections of silence, like maybe when you were advancing a slide and so it took a moment and there wasn't any audio there. And so that is really Descript at its heart, which is you can edit text and it will edit the video. You can also, of course, do it from the timeline. So you say like, oh, there's this gap here. I just want to shorten that and move that to right here. You can do it that way as well. And then when you're ready to go live, you just click publish and go into export. And you have a number of options here. You can just export it as an MP4 file. You could also add subtitles to the video from the script. You could automatically add subtitling to your file. Or if you work with professional video editors, you can take this rough edit and export it as like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Audition or files like that. So that way you could like basically give them working files where they can then continue to do their editing. I find it super powerful. It's $10 a month to subscribe. I find it ridiculously useful for the work I do, and I'm delighted to pay. It also has built-in a screen recording software. So it's another way for you to basically record your screen and then do again some little edits. But there's, of course, a lot of other software which does that stuff as well.
That was great.
Oh, let me
so the question, Martha, so is there any way you can post the text of a video so those who watch the video can click through a video?
Yeah, so actually there's a way for you to post that video so people can see the text. Can they click through the section? That's a good question. Let me take a look at that. So one thing you can do, yeah, go ahead.
No, I wanted to know the name.
I'm sorry, it's Descript, DESC. I'll put it in the chat actually, Descript. So one thing you can do when you go to export, one of the versions of this is you can export as a page. So it basically creates a page and you will show the transcript on that page. And I'm not positive if it's clickable, but let's find out. It may take a moment for us to load, so we might need to come back. But it looks like, yeah, here is, oh yeah, so you can hover through it. Yes, it would exactly like to take that script, make that publicly available, and people can go to here. And in fact, when you go over here and hover this, you'll see it gives you the ability to copy a link. So you could send people to just one section and say, I want to give people a link that sends you just to this one sentence or paragraph of the script.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh wow, man, I'm learning some great stuff myself. This is awesome. Thank you, thank you. I think this is like really like I love the idea where you can take away the ums from the videos and just go through it and it's just like a really simple form. And I love because if you really want to get heavier, you can like export it to like a Final Cut or Premiere Pro. So
Yeah, that's way too pro for me. And I definitely need to resist going down the rabbit hole of tweaking every sentence and making it just a little bit better. But if you just want to just like do the automatic thing, like just get rid of all boom, good enough to get out into the world, it's a great, powerful tool that way.
nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm gonna check this out. I can. Oh yeah, I know, right? Letting us know how this is useful for.
Yeah, and if you're already producing longer videos, the other thing that's really interesting about Descript is you can just take an interesting clip. You're like, here's just one section, and you just like export just like a one paragraph of text. And these can be used often on social media or for other promotional uses. To say, here's one interesting clip from a larger piece, which you can then render out. You can also theme it, subtitle it. Again, you could go really crazy, or you could just keep it. Don't do too much work. But definitely, I would say worth playing with, free to use. You only get, I think, about 5 hours of transcription with the free version. But once then they're going to charge you $10 a month or $5 a month if you're a nonprofit.
I always find it pretty hard in like Windows management, or rather, if I have a file, let's say I have this file and I want to bring it into another application, like maybe it's a photo, and I want to put it in my photos application, or I want to move it from one folder, one Finder window to the other. So like Finder real quick. So like maybe I have something in my documents and then I want to move it into another folder. So I want to move this work folder over here. Like I would have to have two windows open. And it seems easy now, but when you have so many windows open and you're trying to like get everything together, sometimes this is in the background because you have like a window open and there's so many things going on. So this is where this little nifty app, as you can see, I'm being given away, but it's called Yoink. And what it does, it's a placeholder. So once you grab the file, drop it, and it holds it for you. And then you can get to where you want to get to. So maybe I'm over here now and I want to drop that file into my document. I just pull it and it moves it to my document. But only until I'm ready, it's going to continue to hold it. Maybe I want to put it back to my desktop. You're right here. And again, I can easily put it in my desktop, but we're talking when you're like, your screen is crazy and you're just trying to find the next window to get to. I've always had trouble with that. So I'm always looking for something like this. And I even proactively search for it. There was something else before and it ended up losing support and this came along. So yeah, again, Yoink, it's great. It's a placeholder. You can do whatever you need to do, move things around, have multiple windows open, and it will always be at the same place for you to use at any time. And you can customize it as well, I should add. So you may not like it. I have it set to come right here, but you may want it to, I can go to, you can change the position. So you can have it show up at the left edge, at the top, the bottom, the center. You can have it show up when you start to drag the window. You can have it show up right next to the file. So I can even have it not show up on the top. It can show up right next to the file. So you can customize it to what's your like workflow and how you find it fit, but it's a great little app. Love it. And that's like the next of the two window management apps that I consider this like a Windows manager. So that's one of the two that I want to share. I'm gonna actually just talk real quick on the other one, since I still in the same class. And the other one is called Rectangle. Now, what Rectangle is, one thing I've always been, Rosalind, one thing I've always been jealous of Windows is how easily you all are able to like snap like the window on the side like that or on. So if you see right here, but not anymore because I can do it right now. I can snap it. I can snap it to the right. I can snap it to the left. I can even do it through my keyboard. So I can maximize it and make it order to move around as I see fit. I can smaller, bigger. I can do so much. And then again, I can do all that with the keyboard, or I can even just drag it to the corners and have it work. So this is great when you like have two windows that you want to like work on side by side. Maybe you want to have three windows, you want to have one third, that is another third, the third quadrant. This is something that I've always been jealous of with Windows users are that comes out the box. Like they have this one's a little bit super advanced version, but Windows does have the whole you can pin it to the side already, and the Mac never has that, but not anymore. This app called there's a couple of them out there. I personally like Rectangle. Number one, it's free, and number two, I just think it has all the it takes a little bit of all the other ones that are out there and place into it. But another good one is called which is another that one costs money, so I would highly suggest Rectangle. Yeah, so that was the second of my two window management apps that I wanted to get into. Both have been lifesavers for me.
Oh, that is a whole world I totally don't know about it. Somebody spent a lot of time in Macintosh land. That's really interesting. Have that little shelf app in Yoink just to it's gonna live over here.
Yeah, no, it's super helpful. And especially like again, when you like doing when you have multiple things going, which we all do, and then that's when you really see it come into play. Like right now, when I was showing you all, it's a clean screen right now, but when you have multiple things and trying to do this and that, oh, it is godsend. Oh, so from Rosalind, how do I make the windows into thirds? Manually, or do I click a button? Yeah, actually, let me share my screen again. That's a great question. And you can't see my what I'm doing on my fingers, but so there's a couple of ways to do it. So I was using a keyboard shortcut now, and there's also a way I believe to do it. I think there's a way to do it. Yeah, by the drag it. So you drag it in the third bottom, it'll do it. But for the one, and then you do it right here, it'll make it. Or if you do it on the left side, it'll do the last quarter. I'm sorry,
It becomes so ingrained into you that you're like keyboard command, boom, boom.
Yeah. So yeah, you can. There's different options. You can do it through the keyboard, or you can actually drag it certain places. I didn't even mention you can even do quadrants. So one quadrant, actually six. You can just move it wherever, and then to the quadrant. Again, I'm using keyboard shortcuts, but you can also I put it to the corner, and it gives me one forks. Put it in that corner, and then so to answer your question though, if I go into the menu options for it, where is that application? You can actually you can change. You could pick how you want to do it. So it comes preset with like how you want the keyboard shortcut to be. But I personally I changed mine around to one that helped me with better muscle memory. You can pick. These are all the different quadrants and paths and third. You can do it. You can even change to the next display. So if you have two screens like me, you can even have it jump from one screen to the next screen with a tap. And again, you can set it to how you want it with the keyboard to do it. And again, they also offer dragging. The dragging, it looks like you can't customize the dragging, but you can customize like the button pressing on the keyboard, if that answers the question. And yes, exactly. Yeah. I've actually, funny enough, I've seen a lot of programmers already using it. Yeah, maybe not this particular one, but using some type of window management application. Yeah, programmers love these things. It allows them to like work with like multiple like applications side by side. But yeah, multiple applications side by side. But so it's a great little nifty Windows management application. Tons. So yeah, it's called Rectangle. There's multiple versions of them out. There's one again called Magnets. There's one also called BTT. Yes, there's plenty, but Rectangle is free, so I'd say go with that one.
I am not a great typer, and I'm constantly making all kinds of silly mistakes. So I've recently hired a robot to do some of the checks on this. And this is not totally brand new technology. You've seen this for a long time in Microsoft Word, where you'll see the little squiggle lines under both your words I think that was misspelled. And you could also optionally turn on the grammar underline squiggle, but frankly, that was for the longest time so wildly like not to how people actually wrote that I think most people just turned it off. So Grammarly is basically that kind of feature, but it's not tied to a particular application. It can be run across every app on your computer. And what it does is it basically reviews your writing and then offers suggestions. And you can even set different styles within it. So you can say, oh, I'm writing business style, or I'm writing for marketing style. And so by letting it know like the kind of writing you're trying to do, you can also have it do some things like if you've got like basically a style guide at work, unusual words, you can also drop these here into the system. And so here's what that looks like in the real world. And so in this case, ignore, so you'll see these things here where it says it underlined in red. And it's saying, oh, we think your verb form here, let's just see if I can increase that size a little bit. I can't. It's a little bit off. And so it's saying like, it should be actually, I'm sending. You're like, send. You're right. You're totally right. I'm sending. Here's another one. By take advantage of these things. Like that doesn't make sense. By taking. And so it just does some nice little grammatical suggestions. Here it says favorite, that's fine. And so it does these nice little suggestions. And then you'll see it's got this little floaty thing here, which is quite small. And this actually, if you flip in here, it gives you some more stylistic suggestions, like the more heavy rewrite options. So sometimes they'll say, oh, your wording is too long, and you can sometimes accept it or sometimes ignore it. So you've got like around the world is what I had written here. And they're like, honestly, worldwide is shorter. What do you think? Should we try that? Not bad. I'll rephrase that. So join us in talking to your favorite group that is doing good, or favorite group doing good in the world. You're like, good idea, actually. That is an improvement. Rephrase. And sometimes it is like a figure like, oh no, I never say that. Dismiss. And so you can go through it here, but it's a nice little tool just to do a proofread where if you don't have another human available to do that proofread for you. And so it also saves you, for me, it saves me from terrible embarrassing mistakes in work Slack messages all the time, because it works in all the apps across the organization. It'll flag and say, that's not a real sentence. Try that again. I'm like, good point, robot. Thank you. And so that's Grammarly. The basic version I'm showing you here, totally free. If you wanted to do even crazier robot-y things, you can pay the money. But I'd say if it's of interest, worth checking out.
Yeah, thank you. I love Grammarly. I'm glad you brought that up. Grammarly has been a lifesaver for me. I use it as well. It's been like when I'm writing email, you can even use it in your email. I'm using like your Gmail. You can type it and it'll help you like articulate the craft the perfect email. You can integrate it in so many different things. It's super useful. And it's like one of those things where it's like hidden behind the scenes. It's per se, it's not a tool per se, but it's a tool. Like it makes you a better writer. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. I love it. I use it and I highly recommend it. So yeah. Issue secure your send secure email. Huh. That's a good question. Eli, do you know about that?
It's a good question. I'm actually Googling for that right now because honestly, I'm not totally sure about that as well. They do have this piece here saying they don't record everything you write. So I'm going to put this link here into the chat, but I think that's a really good point for organizations that may have compliance issues like government, like health organizations, like banks, where they need to be very careful around the data and what's reading and sending things to external servers, because it's certainly, I think the server is working remotely. It's not happening completely on your computer. So that article will give you a test on it. They're saying like it's not doing standard key logging. That said, I think it's a strong concern to look into.
Yeah, thank you, Eli. Yeah, I love it. It's not a spell checker. It really helps you craft good sentences. And that's one of the things I love about it. But yeah, that was a really great question, Lesson.
Yeah, some of us are very guilty about the passive voice. And it's good to have a robot saying, no, we don't do that. I'm like, thank you, robot.